Uh, in our today's lecture, we will be talking about coherence and cohesion. Fine. In the very beginning of the lecture, in the previous lecture, we talked about academic writing, that how actually we will bring unity. You will bring actually you will give format and sequence to your writing. Fine. So through coherence and cohesion, actually you can bring unity in your writing, and actually this is the proper way to link ideas, to link sentences, to link paragraphs. Fine. Actually, through this way, you can easily connect ideas, and that actually provides a pathway to the reader to get the idea easily and smoothly. Fine. So today we will be talking about coherence. What is coherence? Coherence is actually achieved when sentences and ideas are connected and flow together smoothly. Remember, if you want to make connection, if you want to bring unity in your writing, you must bring connection between the ideas. Fine. And how will you bring connection between your ideas? You will bring connection between your sentences, you will bring connection your phrases, the words and the paragraphs. Fine. Through these cohesive devices, through these words, which through which you bring unity in your writing, actually that will cause to bring unity in your writing as well. That will cause to bring unity in your ideas as well. Fine. And you will actually write your ideas smoothly and fluently if there is coherence in your writing. Fine. So when it is achieved, it is achieved when sentences and ideas are connected and flow together smoothly. Fine. There is a great saying that if there is no coherence, so the text or the paragraph is never meaningful. Fine. How can we claim this? Fine. For example, let me give you an example. If you write the idea, if you write the paragraph in disordered form or disorganized form, fine. So how the reader, how the audience will get understand that what the idea is about. Fine. What the main topic is about, what the topic is about, what the subject is about. Fine. So the reader will get confused. Fine. So in order to flow the idea smoothly, in order to bring connection in your ideas, actually you need to bring coherence in your writing. Fine. An essay without coherence can inhibit a reader's ability to understand the idea and main points of the essay. Remember, when there is no cohesion, when there is no coherence, so the reader will find get confused. There will be hindrance, there will be impediments. Fine. There will be resistance to his ability to understand the ideas. Fine. Coherence allows the reader to move easily throughout the essay, from one idea to the next idea, from one sentence to the next sentence, and from one paragraph to the next paragraph. Remember, if there is coherence, so the reader will move from one sentence to another sentence, from one paragraph to another paragraph, from one idea to another idea smoothly and fluently. He will get the idea. Fine. But if there is no coherence, so it will actually inhibit the reader's ability to understand the main idea. Fine. Following are several methods that can be used to achieve coherence in writing. So how will you bring coherence in your writing? There are certain steps, there are certain methodologies through which you can bring coherence in your writing. The first one is use repetition to link ideas, sentences, and paragraph. Sometimes you repeatedly use certain words, certain ideas, certain phrases. Fine. Why do you use those phrases? Why do you use those words, those ideas, in order to bring unity? Fine. In order to bring coherence in your writing. Fine. Repeating keywords or phrases helps connects and focus ideas throughout essay. Remember, if you are repeating words, if you are repeating phrases, if you are repeating certain ideas, fine, this will cause connection in your writing. This will cause to focus on the main idea. Fine. The reader will get these understand these idea, and they will focus on the main idea as well. Fine. From these clues, from these evidences, from these words, from these phrases, from these ideas, the reader will get understand the main idea. Fine. Repetition also helps the reader remain focused and headed in the right direction. Right? Remember, if you are repeatedly using certain words, so it will, focus the reader on the main idea. Fine. It will focus the reader on the main subject. Fine. That you are talking about. Fine. It will give direction to the reader that what the subject is about, what the topic is about. Fine. Whether the writer is against the subject, whether the writer is supporting the subject. Fine. So through these coherence, through these repetition, the reader will get direction. Fine. Now, for example, most students are intimidated by the works of William Shakespeare. They believe Shakespeare's sonnet and play are far too complicated to read and understand. Remember, for example, if there were like these words are used, William Shakespeare, and then again the word Shakespeare is repeatedly used in the second sentence also. Fine. If these words were absent, how would you able, would you understand the idea, the subject matter of these sentences? Through these repetition, we get to know that what the subject is about, what the idea is about. Fine. So in the second sentence, the word Shakespeare is repeatedly used in order to get direction to the reader that actually the idea is about the same person. Fine. And now, coming towards use transitional expression to link ideas. Fine. Transitional devices, we will be discussing this topic in the later part of this discussion. Fine. Cohesive devices we will discuss today. So over there we will be talking about transitional expression also, transition devices, cohesive devices. But I just want to give you a thorough discussion on it. Use transitional expression to link ideas, sentences, and paragraph. Fine. Transitional expressions. What are transitional expression? What are transitional words, transitional devices, cohesive devices? Remember, these are words which we people use in order to bring unity in phrases, in order to bring unity in a paragraph, in order to bring unity in sentences. Fine. We join sentences, we join paragraphs, we link ideas through transitional expression. Fine. Transitional expressions such as however, because, therefore, and addition are used to establish relationship between ideas, sentences, and paragraphs. We talked about it, that these are actually expression, these are words, these are phrases actually through which we join words, through which we join sentences and paragraph. Fine. Like conjunction, we use the word and, but, because. These are conjunction, these are actually can also be called transitional expression, transitional devices. Fine. Through these words we join paragraphs, through these words we join sentences, we join ideas. Fine. So through transitional expression we actually bring coherence in our writing. They serve as a signal to let the reader know the previous idea, sentence, or paragraph is connected to what follows. Fine. These transitional expressions signals you, that give you the signal that what the idea, what the idea is about. Fine. Whether the idea is relevant, similar, fine, or contrast to the previous one. Fine. So transitional expression tells you or give you the signal of the ideas that is followed in the idea that what preceded. Fine. For a list of most commonly used transitional expression, refer to the Southeastern Writing Center handout, useful transition words and phrases. Remember, many transitional devices that are actually referred to the Southeastern Writing. Fine. For example, the example is given, many students believe they cannot write a good essay because they are not writers. For example, if I say, many students believe they cannot write a good essay, they are not writers. If I skip the word, fine. If I do not use the word because, there would be a confusion. Fine. There would be a confusion. Fine. In order to eradicate this confusion, I will use the transitional expression because we're here. Fine. And then in the next line. However is actually showing you, it signals you, it gives you the clue that the following sentence is actually, in contrast to the previous one. Fine. So certain devices we use in order to know that whether the ideas are similar, whether the ideas are contrast. Fine. Whether the idea is the counter one. Fine. So through these transitional expression, through these transitional devices, we bring coherence in our writing. Fine. Then we will come towards pronouns. Use pronouns to link sentences. Fine. Pronouns are used to link or connect sentences by referring to preceding nouns and pronouns. Pronouns can also help create paragraphs that are easy to read by eliminating wordiness and unnecessary repetition. Why do we use pronouns? We use pronouns in order to avoid repetition of certain words. Like if I use the word Thompson again and again, so it will be a vague kind of writing. Fine. If I use the word, he or she for the subject, for the person, fine, then it will be quite good writing and formal writing. Fine. And why would I use pronouns? In order to refer back to the person. Fine. In order to refer back to the person. Now it is one of the methods through which you can bring unity in your writing, through which you can bring coherence in your writing. Fine. Like he is referring to Thompson, he is referring to Thompson. So it tells us, it signals that, it gives us the signal that actually the idea is similar, or the idea is about the person that is already mentioned in the previous sentences. Fine. Now coming towards the use of synonym. Through synonym, we also bring unity in your ideas. Fine. Your writing. Fine. Your paragraphs. Synonyms are words that have the same or nearly the same meaning as another word. They provide alternative word choices that can add variety to an essay and can help eliminate unnecessary repetition. For example, use of the same word repeatedly actually give the readers a direction that the writer is writing informally, that is right, the writer is actually not that much genius, that much intellectual. Fine. In order to bring unity, you use synonym. Fine. You use nearly the same meaning word. Fine. And place it in your writing. Fine. So this is also one of the way in order to bring coherence in your writing. Fine. Like how the example is given: teenager face an enormous amount of peer pressure from friends and schoolmates. As a result, many young adults are exhibiting signs of severe stress or depression at an early ages. Remember, teenagers, the word teenager is synonym with the word young adults. Fine. So over here, it is a signal, it is a signal, it is a clue that the sentence, the idea is about the teenager. Fine. The same subject over here it is discussed. Fine. Then we will come toward use parallel structure to link ideas. Fine. For example, if you are talking about something and you use present simple tense, and then you shift from present simple tense to past simple tense, and then you shift from past simple to past continuous, and then you, for example, if you are using these kind of sentences, fine. So how will the reader get the idea? Fine. That when, where, and how something happened. Fine. So for this purpose, we use parallel structure in order to give direction to the readers, in order to give direction to the reader that the idea is actually is having unity. Fine. That are having a clear and smooth flow. Fine. Parallelism is the use of matching words, phrases, clauses, or sentence structure to express similar ideas. Fine. Through parallelism, we express similar ideas, that when something happened. Fine. For example, if I'm talking about an event that has happened in the past, fine, and if I explain that, if I describe that event in the past simple tense, so I will be clear, the reader will be clear that actually when the event happened, fine, or occurred. Fine. But if I'm shifting from one sentence, from one structure to another structure, so the reader will get confused that when something happened or how something happened. Fine. So here is the example given. Usually the children spend the summer weekend playing ball ball in park, fine, swimming in the neighbor pool, eating ice cream under the tree, or camping in the backyard, fine. Parallel structures, over here are used, fine, and it allows the reader to flow smoothly from one idea to another, fine. Over here at the museum, the class attended a lecture where the speaker demonstrated how the Native American made bows and arrows. Remember, for example, if I change the structure, fine, like over here, the class attended a lecture where the speaker demonstrating, fine, or demonstrates. So over here, the reader will get confused that when this meeting happened, when this seminar happened or occurred, fine. So over here, the confusion will be there, fine. In order to eradicate this confusion, we use parallel structures, fine. They also attended, over here, attended, demonstrated, attended, again and again. These structures are used, parallel structures are used, and these are the clues, these are the signals that give you the direction that what the subject is about, fine, that what the idea is about. So over here we so far have discussed that through repetition, through transition, through use of pronouns, fine, through use of synonyms, and through use of parallel structures, you can bring coherence in your writing, fine. Now coming towards the next slide, which is about cohesion, fine. So today we will also discuss cohesion, fine. Is it visible? Is it visible? Please respond me. Is it visible? Okay, fine. Okay. So remember, when you talk about coherence, so the topic or the subject cohesion is also linked with the coherence, fine, because through cohesion, through cohesive devices, we bring coherence in our writing, fine. We link ideas, we link paragraphs, we link phrases, we link certain words, fine, through the use of cohesive devices. And these cohesive devices actually cause the writing to to have a unity in it, fine. So what is cohesion? Cohesion refers to the way we use vocabulary and grammatical structure to make connection between the ideas within a text. Remember, when there is cohesion, there will be connectivity, there will be unity in the writing. When there is unity, so there will be fine clarity in your writing. Remember, fine, when there is no cohesion, there will be confusion, there will be unclarity of ideas, fine, and there will be no cohesion. We talked about it in the very early in the very start of the lecture, that if there is no cohesion, the text is actually never meaningful, fine. But if there is cohesion, so there will be coherence, fine. So the text will be meaningful, fine. Coming towards, these are the grammatical structures. These are actually words. These are actually phrases through which you connect ideas, through which you connect sentences, through which you connect paragraphs, fine. It provides flow and sequence to your word and help make your paragraph clear for the reader. Remember, whenever you are writing, fine, or you are attempting any academic writing, there must be a proper pattern. It must be in a systematic manner, it must be in sensible manner. We talked about it in the very first lecture, if you remember, where we talked about that if you are writing, fine, if you're doing any formal writing, there must be systematic or sequence of the ideas, fine. If you are writing, so you must give a proper structure, you must give a proper organization to your ideas. If, for example, there is no cohesion, so remember, there will be no organization in your writing, fine. So in order to bring organization, in order to give sequence, in order to give a proper pattern to your writing, you will have to bring cohesion in your writing, fine. Now coming toward cohesive devices, How you bring cohesion, fine. How you bring, you bring coherence in your writing through certain devices, through certain words, through certain phrases. And those phrases, those words are actually called cohesive devices, fine. Human beings use language to communicate with each other and represent their ideas or thought, fine. Now, why do we use language? Simple, fine. We use language in order to communicate, in order to express our thoughts, in order to represent our ideas, fine. Now, communication can be possible on two different ways. It may be in, in written form, as well as it may be in the spoken form or spoken discourses, fine. To do all this, they use one or more words. Remember, for example, if you are talking to someone and you are talking about the same subject, fine, so you will use certain sentences, you will utter few utterances, fine. So how will this listener, how will the audience get to know that what the subject are you talking about, fine. So in order to let the reader know, in order to let the speaker know, so listener know, you will actually use certain words, fine, in order to join your idea, in order to join your sentences, in order to join those utterances, fine. Now, coming towards the wide range of sentences can be used as a cohesive devices, is a device which hold different parts of a thing together. Together, fine. For example, if we generally talk about cohesive devices, so cohesive devices are actually those devices which bring certain parts of a thing together, or which join certain parts of a thing together. But when it comes to writing, so it holds, it joins certain phrases, certain sentences, certain ideas, fine, certain paragraphs, fine. So over here, we'll talk about cohesive devices in that context, like we will use words in order to join phrases, we will use words in order to join sentences, fine. And through these cohesive devices, through these words, we will actually bring unity in our writing, we will actually bring coherence in our writing, fine. There are basically tools of cohesion function. The major function of cohesion is text formation. Remember, for example, if you are formulating a text, if you are creating a text, if you are producing a text, and there is no cohesion, remember that text is actually meaningless, purposeless. For example, if you are talking about any subject, fine, and you are creating a counter argument, for example, fine, and the essay is about comparison and contrast essay, fine. You are creating an argument that is against someone's argument, fine. So you use certain devices, fine, you use certain words in order to show, in order to signal the reader that this idea is opposite to the idea mentioned earlier, fine. So you use these words in order to signal the reader that whether over here the writer is talking about on the same pace, or he is or she is against the notion, fine. So in order to formulate a text, in order to create a text, in order to produce a text, you must keep in mind these things in mind, that you will use cohesive devices, fine. For example, if you are giving explanation, fine, so use firstly, secondly, thirdly. These are actually cohesive devices. For example, if you are against someone's notion, so you say on the contrary, on the other hand, fine. So you use certain devices in order to give direction to the reader whether the idea is comparatively the same or different, fine. Now coming towards, there are basically tools of cohesion function. The major function of cohesion is text formation, fine. You form a text, you create a text, fine. You formulate a text through cohesive devices. How it also helps in achieving unity of a text. We talked about it. For example, if there is a text, and that is where you establish cohesion, in that you have already used cohesive devices. So in that text, actually there will be unity, fine, there will be cohesion, and that text will be semantically meaningful also, fine. A text must be meaningful. How a text will be meaningful? Remember, without cohesion, without coherence, a text can never be meaningful. Fine. So a text that is not cohesive is never meaningful. Over here, again, the same thing is repeated. If a text that is not cohesive is never meaningful, because there will be no unity in the ideas, there will be no coherence in the ideas. So that text will be not will be never meaningful. They show the logical relationship between sentences and paragraph. Fine. It gives you the direction, it gives you the relation, the clues that how the sentence is related to the previous one. Fine. Whether it is against the previous one, whether it is different to the previous one. Fine. Or whether it is supporting the previous subject. Fine. They help expand the context, such as, for example, they help expand the context, such as whether information is completely new related to information in other sentences. Remember, we talked about it, that these cohesive devices gives you the direction that whether the information is completely new or whether it is related to the previous sentences. Fine. Or is a reference to the old information from the previous sentence, improve reading and comprehension skills. Remember, if a text where there is cohesion, so it will be having great importance in understanding as well. Fine. The reader, the audience, the target people will get the idea easily and smoothly. Fine. If there is cohesion. Importance: without them, the semantic system cannot be effectively activated at all. How meaning a language is created by the use of an interrelationship of words and phrases. Remember, what is the importance of cohesion? What is the importance of cohesive devices? Remember, without cohesive devices, without these, this cohesion, you cannot effectively activate your meaning in the text. Fine. Sentences or paragraphs. Now it links together structurally unrelated elements through the dependence of one or the other for its interpretation. Fine. Now, if there are contrast ideas, different ideas, so how will I know that this idea is actually different than the previous one? Through certain cohesive devices, actually I would come to know that the idea is different to the previous one. Fine. Now, for example is given: Islam is a proper noun, is an intelligent boy. Fine. He always stands first in the class. He is holding two sentences. He is actually over here. Now coming towards he. What is he? He is actually a cohesive device. Fine. Through he, you brought over here cohesion. Fine. The writer has brought cohesion, cohesion and also coherence and also unity in this writing. Fine. Over here, he is actually referring back to the Aslam. Fine. And now it is a signal that the preceded or the following idea is similar to the previous one. Fine. References is used to describe the different ways in which entities, things, people, and events are referred to within a text. Fine. Why do we use references? We use references in order to refer to certain entities, to certain people, fine, to certain events, fine, in the text. Linguistic features: pronoun are used to refer to the already mentioned entities. Fine. We use pronoun in order to refer back to the mentioned entities. Fine. Certain terms in any language cannot be interpreted semantically, rather they may make references sometimes something else within the text for their interpretation. Remember, for example, if you are interpreting, if you are inferring the meaning, so you can infer the meaning, you can interpret the meaning from these clues, from these cohesive devices. Fine. Saira went to the market in rain. She stepped and puddled and never went there again. She, like over here, again and again, the word she is repeatedly used. Fine. Over here, it is repetition also. And she is actually the pronoun used which refer back to the Saira. Fine. So now it is a signal that, that gives you the clue that the idea is that over here in the sentence also about the Saira. Fine. Now coming towards, like, you can use personal references. Personal pronouns is personal references. I, me, mine. These are actually pronouns you can use in order to refer to certain entities, to certain person. Fine. That I'll already mentioned in the text. Demonstrative references, you can also use this, that, those, these. Actually, these are also can be used in while referring to certain things. Fine. It is the same pen I bought yesterday. Fine. again is the reference. Substitution. Now we will come towards substitution. It is replacement of one linguistic item by another, replacement of one word phrase with another. Sometimes we substitute word, fine, and we bring another word on, on the same place, fine, and use it. For example, the glass broke, fine, I must get another. Why the writer is not saying I must get another glass? Because he is also giving you the clues that this idea is also about the previous one. This idea is about the glass, fine. Whatever I am talking about, that is about the glass, fine. So over here the glass is actually substituted, fine. The glass is actually substituted, fine. So over here, through this way, you can also bring cohesion in your writing. I will have 2 eggs on the bread, fine. I will have the same. Remember, 2 eggs on the bread is avoided, fine, is replaced by the word same. So over here, 2 eggs on the bread is substituted by the word same over here, fine. So it gives you the clues that the idea is similar to the previous one, fine. I don't know the meaning of these words, and I don't know the meaning of those words. I don't believe you do either, fine. Is this mango rip? It seems so, fine. It actually is referring to the entity mango, fine. So it is a reference that is used in order to bring cohesion, fine. Ellipsis. Now coming toward ellipsis. Ellipsis is actually the deletion or omission of a linguistic item. Sometimes we omit words, fine. And there is a difference between substitution and ellipsis. Substitution, in a substitution we actually replace a word, fine. But on the other hand, in ellipsis, we actually delete or omit that word and we do not replace another word, fine. It can be interpreted as that form of substitution which in an item is replaced by nothing, fine. We do not replace anything over here in ellipsis, remember this. An occasion when words are deliberately left out of sentences so the meaning can still be understood, fine. So we deliberately, we know that actually we are omitting certain words, but we do it deliberately, fine, because it gives us the clue that the meaning is similar to the previous one, fine. Leaving out of words or sentences as they are necessary because they have already been referred to or mentioned. Remember, these are the clues, fine, that gives you the clues that give you the signals that the idea is similar to the previous one, fine. Now coming towards conjunction, we are left with 4 minutes, fine. So I want to wind up my lecture. Conjunction, a word with join words and sentences such as bird, when, so, or unless, etc. Fine. Conjunctions, as you know, that these are words, these are phrases through which we join words, sentences, phrases. Remember it, fine. And there are certain categories in it. Additive, fine, when you give additional explanation, extra information, fine. So you use these additive category of conjunction. If you are giving counter arguments, fine, so then you go for adversative conjunctions, fine. Casual conjunction are actually relation express, casual, relationship express, so, hence, therefore, thus. These are actually casual conjunction, fine. For example, hence, thus, therefore. So these are actually showing you how things are related to each other, how things are expressed, fine, in a sentence. Temporal, the relation is actually expressed over here in temporal by then, fine. The word then is actually the temporal conjunction, fine. Lexical cohesion is actually established through vocabulary, fine, while references, ellipses, and conjunction tend to link clauses which are near each other in a text. Lexical cohesion tend to link much larger part of the text. Remember, conjunctions, ellipses, and references, that links some of the parts, find some of the clauses, some of the phrases, but lexical cohesion actually join or they link larger part of a text, fine. Lexical cohesion is created by reiteration and collocation. What is reiteration? It involves the repetition of the same word. Synonym or near synonym, fine, a general word, fine. For example, if the author is discussing an idea and he is he is using synonym for that words in the upcoming paragraphs. So actually he is connecting one paragraph with the another one. So over here we have got this notion that lexical cohesion is actually the cohesion where we link larger part of a text. Fine. And collocation is the way in which particular words tends to occur or belong together. Sometimes some words are collocated. Fine. Sometimes some words they tend to occur in together. Fine. So they are also one of the techniques or methods through which you can bring cohesion in your writing. Fine. So far we have discussed substitution, pronouns, fine, transitional devices, ellipses. Fine. So these are actually the methods, they are actually the techniques through which you can bring cohesion in your writing, and it will ultimately bring unity in your writing, and it will eradicate the confusion. Fine. Any question? If you have any confusion, any question, you can ask, please.